Let's go to the Hill. Bob Corker speaking to reporters.
Knowns that you know, you would think he would be. He would try to focus on things where there wasn't a witness, but the whole world's a witness to these untruths.
Senator,
and world leaders.
Senator, you've been kind of an island on this.
During the campaign, at the beginning of his administration, you supported the president. Do you regret that now?
Well, what do you think? Look, I think people. Look, I think there were many people. I was one of those that hoped that he would rise to the occasion as president and aspire to lead our nation instead of dividing it. And it's obvious his political model and governing model is to divide. And he has not risen to the occasion. It's very evident to me. I've had personal meetings, personal dinners, personal phone calls when the staff has asked me to call over and intercede on something that was not going to happen, that was not good for our country. And I've done all those things. But yeah, at this point, realize what we're dealing with, like I think most Americans. And I've got a job as a senator to do the best that I can to check against that. And when he's right, of course, I think some people think that, we carry out our personal feelings on policy, but that's just not what most of us anyway do. We do things based on what we think is good for the country. So it's a sad place from my perspective for our nation. And I think that the worst of it is going to be just the whole debasing, if you will, of our nation. I think that'll be the contribution that hurts our nation most.
You think the president's debasing the nation?
I don't think it's question, but that's the case, just in the way that he conducts himself and goes to such a low level. I do. But look, I mean, the rest of us need to do what we can to act as statesmen and to try to move our nation ahead in a time when we have leaders such as we have now. And that's certainly what I'm going to attempt to do.
Senator, do more of your Republican colleagues need to speak up?
I don't. Look, I can't. Look, I was in a rough and tumble business, operate around the country, and have always been a very direct, independent person. And I came up here to, told citizens in our state that I couldn't imagine serving more than 2 terms. And it gives you a sense of freedom to be in that way, and I felt that the whole time I've been here. But I can't speak for what other people should do, and I would never want to, do or say something that puts people that I serve with in an uncomfortable place.
But you've spoken from office. We're gonna be late.
I better go to this.
Do you regret campaigning for him?
White House.
Do you regret campaigning for him?
I didn't really campaign for him. I went to Raleigh. It was during a period of time when he was talking with me about being vice president, and that afternoon before then, I told him it was not possible for me to do that. And so I got called out on the stage. It was, an embarrassing moment. I think anyone who saw it saw that was the case. But I did when he was right. I supported him on some of his foreign policy speeches. I criticized him when some of the other things he did were inappropriate. But look, we are where we are as a country, and again, I think what we need to do is support him when he's right, check him when he's wrong, which is plenty, and try to conduct ourselves in a manner that brings out the best in the American people.
Should he be removed
when
from
our
office,
president obviously does not conduct himself way, his governing model is to divide and to attempt to bully and to use untruths. So
should he be removed from office, sir? My comment. Should he be removed from office?
Well, pick your jaws up off the floor, because that was Republican Senator Bob Corker, the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, telling reporters that this president of the United States debases the country. It has been a remarkable morning. We've been covering it all here on MSNBC as the president and Bob Corker engage in what you could call a back and forth, but what seems at this point to be largely one-sided. Senator Corker mincing no words, saying he regrets supporting Donald Trump for president, making no secret of this just 2 hours before President Trump is set to head over to Capitol Hill for what was going to be a unity lunch. Not sure what it's going to be now. I want to bring in Amber Phillips. I want to bring in Jonathan Swan, who are going to be talking about this with us, along with Garrett Haake, who is on Capitol Hill, and Kristen Welker, who is on the White House North Lawn. Kristen, I want to start with you very quickly before we get back to the Hill for reaction from Garrett. This is remarkable.
That is the only word for it, Hallie. It is truly remarkable. This is the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. As you pointed out, they're about to meet over tax reform. Bob Corker has in recent weeks really picked up his criticism of President Trump, even indicating in one interview that he's concerned he could be putting the nation on the path to World War III. He doubled down on those comments during an interview with the Today Show earlier today. But now in these exchanges, taking it even further, saying that he regrets voting for President Trump and saying that he has problems with the truth. Go ahead, Hallie.
Well, Kristen, I want to come back to you here because the president's been tweeting about Bob Corker this morning before the comments that we just watched live here on this air. But what's going to happen in a couple of minutes? House Speaker Paul Ryan faces reporters, and you know he's like, this is the last thing I want to be talking about. He wants to be talking taxes. He does not want to have to be answering questions about a top Republican senator going after the president of the United States. Casey Hunt, you're in that room. Time and time again, Paul Ryan has been pressed about what other Republicans are saying about President Trump, about the latest Donald Trump tweets. It looks as though this Tuesday morning will be no different.
That's probably right, Hallie, although I got to tell you that I do not anticipate our answers are going to be that much different. And forgive me for keeping an eye out because the House Speaker is about to walk in here. So I am going to take my seat.
And there we go. Paul Ryan getting ready to take the podium here along with the rest of House Republican leadership. Garrett Haake is in the hallway and was involved in that Bob Corker interview. We're going to monitor this Paul Ryan news conference. But Garrett, I want to go to you because I saw you asking questions and asking what I think is one of the key questions here, which is, does Bob Corker think other Republicans need to be following his lead now?
Yeah, and he was very careful to not say that they do, Hal. He knows he's in a unique position as someone who had political strength of his own and is not running for re-election. So he feels like he can stand on his own two legs and not necessarily draw his Republican colleagues into this. But the reason I asked that question is it does seem as though his complaints are very easily turned into this back and forth, Bob Corker versus Donald Trump, and not necessarily getting the same broader reaction that they might if you saw more Republicans in a similar position to Corker, or even those who are in electoral jeopardy standing up and saying, as he did just now, that the president's legacy may be that he has been debasing the country. That's an extraordinary thing for a Republican senator to say about a president of his own party. I mean, you can't forget how abnormal this is, how just incredibly abnormal this is for a powerful member of the Republican Party to stand in the hallway and say that's what this president of his own party might be remembered for.
And Garrett, to tweet before all of this even happened, right, which was the reason why reporters were chasing after Senator Corker in the first place, to tweet about the adult daycare center that he believes the White House has become. Go back to the White House now because Kristen Welker, President Trump, is rarely one to let a tweeting opportunity go by in this instance, and that was the case this morning, right?
That's right. Let me read you some of the tweets that the president sent out after our interview with Senator Corker on the Today Show. The president fired up, tweeting Bob Corker, who helped President O give us the bad Iran deal and couldn't get elected dog catcher in Tennessee, is now fighting tax cuts. Corker dropped out of the race in Tennessee when I refused to endorse him and now is only negative on anything Trump. Look at his record. Now, of course, Corker would take exception to a lot of what the president is alleging in those tweets. But bottom line, he's taking very sharp aim at Corker today. Corker responding, as you point out, Hallie, let's just take a look at it. Same untruths from an utterly untruthful president. Hashtag alert the daycare staff. And then the president responding again, isn't it sad that lightweight Senator Bob Corker, who couldn't get reelected in the great state of Tennessee, will now fight tax cuts plus? And Hallie, let me just pick up on that final point. Tax cuts. Remember, the president is still looking for a legislative victory, and he's looking for one as it relates to tax cuts. And there is no margin for error. He can't afford to lose Bob Corker's support. And right now, it's hard to see that he's going to get it this way, Hallie.
So, Kristen, what I want to do is get our folks here to cue up some of the Corker sound that we just heard, because I do think it's worth replaying and making sure that we underscore just how critical this is. But I think you bring up what is sort of the point of all this, right? And I want to bring in Jonathan and Amber here, which is, this is not just another day and another Republican food fight, right? And two people going at each other, a Republican president going after a Republican senator. This matters to people because of the policy, like taxes, like health care, policies in which the GOP, if they want to get something done, if they want to get a legislative win, need every single senator on board on the Republican side. And that would include Bob Corker, presumably.
Two reasons this is important. One is Corker is a crucial vote on tax reform.
Yeah.
He's one of the few fiscal hawks left, one of the few people who still really cares about the deficit. Right? McConnell is treating him with kid gloves. And I saw that tweet from the president. Yeah, he's firing back, and it might satisfy. Right. But like, Corker's not susceptible to the usual beat him up. Like, he doesn't care. He's not going back for re-election. So what does that?
He clearly does not care.
But the second reason it's important is he's the chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and he's telling the world. In some ways, he is the chief, representative to the world from Congress, and he's telling the world that this guy who leads the United States of America is so unstable that he needs to be in adult daycare. It's an incredible signal that he's sending to the world.
Especially 2.5 weeks ahead of the president's first trip to Asia, where he's going to be meeting with critical allies like in Japan, like in South Korea. And you have Bob Corker here saying that the president is debasing the country, that his legacy will be debasement. Garrett said it. He said this is extraordinary. I feel like we say that sometimes a lot here.
We do, and every time it's warranted, right? Like every day I feel like we in the news business, and not